And good morning. I have to check something out. I was looking at the models. I may have to make a phone call. Weather models. Okay. First, let me do this. Hope everybody's having a great morning. I gotta wake her up soon. Mama's gotta go to the doctor today. So little Rex, time to relax for a little bit this morning before the day starts. I should be busy today. What am I missing? Okay. A little chilly this morning. I just got the fire started. Whew. I gotta check this. What's going on? Oh. Good. That's good for them. See, but that's not good. Wow. Next week, Monday through maybe. Oh yeah, I gotta call him. I give weather reports to people. If he picks up, I don't know if it's kind of early in the morning. Good morning. I'm live, but I just gotta let you know to keep an eye out for the lake effect snow starting maybe Monday for you.
This Monday coming up?
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy, I didn't see the news on the weather. So
I'm looking at the models.
what are they saying about inches?
It's not them saying. I'm telling you because I'm looking at models.
Okay, tell me. Thanks.
It's gonna definitely pick up the winds heading toward Buffalo Monday. Hold on. Not even Monday. I would say Monday midday. And the problem is, I was doing a little research.
Yeah.
The lakes are not what they should be right now. They're warmer than normal. Right now, it says there has been a notable drop in temperatures because of this cold weather so far. The lakes are still 1 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit above historical average across the lakes. The current ice coverage across the lakes is not extensive, with only areas of the western shorelines seeing higher concentrations. That's you're the eastern shoreline.
Right.
Smaller inlets and locations like Saginaw Bay, Lake St. Clair, and far western portions of Lake Erie are currently seeing the highest percentage of ice coverage. That's not you. So typically, lake effect snow events become less severe deeper into the winter season, but with the lake still under 20% ice coverage and warmer than average, another impressive event is expected to occur. So keep your just you could still have another major lake effect is what I'm telling you.
We usually probably have one in March. I mean, it gets really cold in February, so you don't see much snow.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So they're saying this it's still not less than 20% ice coverage on the lakes. So that means you can still see another major event before that hopefully the freeze. But the problem is I'm looking at long range models. The temperatures are going to go up in between. It's crazy. I'm looking right now. Hold on. So this week, the rest of the week, the winds are going to change direction and they're going to come more from the south. So by you, it's just going to be at freezing, which is still freezing. 32 for you Saturday, 34 in Buffalo, Erie. So we need these cold temperatures to go over the lakes to freeze them. Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely. I'm just thinking that it's been very very cold where we are, but if the lakes are not freezing over,
Yep.
we're gonna get hit with some more.
One more. I would say one more because I'm looking at the long, like I say long range. It's like a week out. We're going to get hit with another Arctic blast. It's coming. Let me look. I'll tell you now when it's really going to drop in. Okay. By Tuesday, we're going to get right back in. You're going to be in the single digits in Buffalo, dude.
Yeah, we've had a couple single digits already. The wind chill factor is down to -2.
Yeah, it's coming for all of us. The whole state of New York, Pennsylvania, and of course New England. I'm seeing over here 7 degrees. Hold on, let me zoom in. BS.
Arctic front that's coming in.
Yeah, another one next week. BS. It's gonna be 1 degree here. 1.
Man, if we're getting it, can you imagine what Canada's getting?
Oh God, they're getting really blasted with cold air. But that's at night. 1 degree at night. Minus upstate New York is all minuses. So that's Wednesday morning next week. So I'm just giving you the heads up. I'm just giving you the heads up to watch your weather, watch your weather locally in Buffalo, and see what they're telling you for Monday, because that's when it looks like the winds are gonna head your direction.
Man, alive.
But this could be it for you. This could be the last. You know what I mean?
Usually we'll have another big snowstorm as it starts to warm up again in March.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it comes in the beginning of the winter season, and we'll get one bad one at the end of the winter season.
Yeah, dude, there's gonna be a couple of. Yeah, these winds are heading in the other direction, so that's not bad for you. I'm looking at Monday. Monday afternoon, it could be interesting. Right there, the time frame, which I don't trust, is 10 a.m. Monday. The winds, and you might be spared a little bit because it might be more snow to the south of you.
I'd rather have the cold weather than the snow.
Oh, I hear you.
Things get really patched up here with the snow. I mean, the problem is that a lot of stuff shuts right down. I mean, when we get a heavy snowfall, you're stuck. I mean, you plow out your driveway, and as soon as the plow trucks come, you're out there doing it again because there's just so much snow that
it comes down so fast.
Yeah, plows it right into your driveway.
Yep. Well, I think I have to keep, I will keep checking these models, but you might be actually spared a little bit because it might be more heavier to your south like the last time. Remember?
Yeah. Well,
So,
that'd be usually. I'll tell you, the south toward Erie, PA, Erie, Pennsylvania.
oh yeah,
Really bad.
oh yeah, oh yeah. They're in there. I mean, they're right now. There's snow going on possibly right along that Erie area. Let me look at the radar.
Yeah, that just would be amazing.
That's
I don't know
not. Anyway, I will.
what's going on there.
Nothing. Just chilling out. I gotta take mom to the doctor soon, and then there's a.
How's her heart?
Huh?
How's her heart?
That's where she's going to see her cardiologist. Everything is good so far, thank God. But
Good.
SpaceX launch at 5, and then I'm gonna talk to Robert Salas at 9 tonight on my stream.
What are you going to be talking to Robert?
I'm just gonna go just get right to the main points. Have him discuss, what happened when he was at the base. I'm cutting right to the chase. I want to ask him, were you at the last hearing, which we know that he was? Did you meet with Nancy Mace, and how did that go? We'll talk about that. Then I'm gonna ask him, and what about your meeting with Arrow? Maybe see what he says about that, because he had the meeting with Arrow. And then I want to ask him, are you willing to testify? And if so, what kind of documentation will you need from Congress getting access to them that you don't already have through FOIA? Because he already has some through FOIA that he did. And what is the frustration that is going on behind the scenes with congressional officials, members, trying to obtain anything related to your case? Because I know he told me privately there's one big one, Chris, one big one that they can't get. And it's not good. I'll mute. I'm not on camera.
The thing.
I'm live again. I'm unmuted. But isn't that crazy, dude? That's the thing that would tie everything together.
Right. But you see, we've never seen anybody actually say, I was there in a crash retrieval. I was there at a body being found. I was physically there. Those people aren't coming forward. And those are the people you really need. You know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yes. But they don't want to come forward, Chris. Now, there's a couple, even Pavel is talking about it. Now he's touching on it. He's saying Friday that somebody's coming out. I heard today or Friday another one, and I heard there's another one that's not even associated to anybody in the UFO field. This is like somebody separate coming out. There's so many rumors going on behind the scenes of people coming out.
Yeah.
But again, that's all they are. Speculation. I know one for sure. Actually, I know two for sure. Actually, I know three for sure. Now that I think about it.
The thing is, I'm wondering if Trump will, because, he's going to release the JFK.
That's what I was talking about last night, dude. I was talking about that. Because if Rubio is his right-hand man as Secretary of State, and Rubio was pushing for transparency, I showed the letter last night, and I bookmarked it. Check this out. You want to hear it? I'm gonna show it on the screen because I bookmarked it. I was searching for it last night. I went nuts last night looking for the atomic energy, and I couldn't find the wording. They have a new revised SAP thing. I didn't even know they released it. The Department of Defense in September, they revised the SAP details about classification. And all that. I was like, oh wow, they updated it a few months ago. I didn't even know that. And now you can't find the original language. I couldn't find it nowhere. And I searched last night like a nut, and I couldn't find it. But let me read you the letter, the bookmarks. I know I did it. Here it is, Congressman Burchett. Here's the letter that Burchett wrote to Trump right after, it was November 19th, okay?
Yeah.
This is what he wrote. Dear President Trump, congratulations on your historic re-election, and thank you for your continued friendship. As you work to dismantle bureaucracy, cut unnecessary spending, and restructure the federal government, I also encourage you to demand increased transparency from rogue agencies. In Congress, I have repeatedly called for government transparency. Just last week, in the hearing, he's referring to the hearing, I led my colleagues on the House Oversight and Accountability Committee in a hearing where witnesses testified to retaliation by government agencies for reporting the misuse of federal funds to fund potentially harmful secretive initiatives, such as programs to investigate unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAP. Our nation is nearly 36 trillion in debt, and I am sick of unelected bureaucrats telling me UAPs don't exist while the government has spent millions of taxpayers' dollars looking into them for decades. This isn't about finding little green men or flying saucers. It's about forcing federal bureaucracies like the Pentagon to be transparent with the American people. Know that I strongly support your commitment to reducing the size and scope of the federal government, and I will continue my efforts in Congress to hold bureaucracy accountable to the American people. Sincerely, Tim Burchett, Member of Congress. How's that? He's already in Trump's ear about this stuff, and that's why there's all this talk behind the scenes of Lou Elizondo possibly getting a position in the Trump administration as like a UAP transparency official. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. And remember Rubio with Gillibrand and Rounds and Schumer and others, a bipartisan effort. They want transparency. They want this information to come out. And he's going to be the Secretary of State most likely. So there's people close to Trump that are in his ear about this. So it's not just JFK, it's other stuff, the bureaucracy, the oversight. We need audits, Chris. They need to be held accountable what's going on. Taxpayer money. We need to know.
Jeez, yeah. But remember, we've always said a lot of this disclosure resistance is because of the money, because they can't account for the money.
Exactly. And it could be criminal. Because you could have money laundering, racketeering. I'm speculating right now. I'm just speculating. And there are some really powerful individuals and corporations and groups and contractors and private sector. Who knows? Retired military personnel, agency personnel that are now working in the private sector. And what about regular citizens that are possibly funding some of these aerospace companies out of their own pocket to benefit from their, putting the money and investing. Do you know what I mean? So this could touch a lot of, this could be, it is a hornet's nest. It is a hornet's nest. And he was warned not to kick the hornet's nest. Burchett said that he was told not to kick this.
Well, remember one time he was going to come out with something and the intelligence services shut him down.
Yes. And I think we know what that is privately. We know what that is.
Yeah.
So we can't talk about that. But you know what I'm saying? There's a lot going on behind the scenes, Chris. There just is. And it's going to be curious to see, because I'm telling you, there's a few people coming forward in the next week. And we already said it, the Green Beret, Toby and I, on our show, and 10 minutes later, Jesse releases a video about whistleblower. Did you see that yet?
No.
Oh, I got to get you the link.
What does the whistleblower say?
His Randy Anderson. I still have not seen the interview because I haven't had time, but I'm going to send you the link on Skype. You got to watch this. Let me find it now. Hold on. Hold on. And this is he's a student he's a PhD student in the program systems group at MIT. So this guy, he's got an interesting background. Hold on, let me go to his page. Okay. I'm trying to get to it now. I'm trying to find... Dolan did something. I got to get that. Dolan did something. All right, hold on. I want to see what Dolan is talking about. But wait, let me just get him. I wonder what Dolan's talking about now. Here we go. I got it. So I'm just going to pause it here and send you the link. This came out Monday right after the show with Toby and I. It was, the timing was like ridiculous. And I got somebody working. I told you something big might be, potentially really big is developing with people we know. I've got somebody putting out feelers with a certain government about something. That's all I could say because I'm live. All right, I just sent it to you, the link to this.
Yeah, I got it.
Watch that, and then let me know, because even if you guys do a show, if everything works out with Don and whatever, you guys can touch on this.
I'll definitely take a look at it today, and I'll get back to you.
All right, call me if you need me, and have a great show tonight. I'll be busy, but yeah, hit me up later.
All right, man.
All right, Chris, have a great one.
Bye.
Bye. All right. But Pavel, let me just see what Dolan, I got to get this off the screen. Let me see what Dolan is talking about. Escaping illusions about ourselves and aliens. All right, time out. I wish Pavel was awake because he's on it too. Let me see if he's awake, because he's got info too. He's another person that gets information. And I'll let him do the talking. I won't. I'm not putting myself out there, but if other people want to, that's up to them. That's not me. Because he's talking about these whistleblowers too. It's early. He's in Mexico. It's 3 hours. I doubt if he's awake. What is it, 10 o'clock? That means it's 7 a.m. Oh my God. I shouldn't have even done that. I'll wait for him to message me. I gotta leave. I gotta get off in an hour and a half. But I would love to hear what he has to say, because I know he knows too. And if he comes on with me right now via Skype, I'll let him talk about it. And he's not afraid to talk. Pavel is not afraid to put stuff out there. So I don't know if he's awake, but he'll message me once he sees the message. And I'd rather hear it directly from him. So we'll see. Interesting times. Interesting. But like last night, I was so frustrated. Okay, hold on. I got to get this description. Let me copy this. Copy. Paste. Save. My gosh, my fire's on and I'm still freezing. All right. This is important. Please let me tell me I bookmarked it. Yeah, okay. Uh-oh. All right, this is an article. All right, this is just a little background. It's from an article by somebody that I really enjoy reading his articles, Tyler Rogaway. And this is the war zone. So this is just to give you a background on how they classify stuff. And you can see top secret, secret, confidential, the clearances, Q clearance. But this tells you about, how it started with all this secrecy and classification. And it's all about these SAPs, special access programs, the different types of SAPs. But there's unacknowledged, which is broken up into two types of SAPs, which is the ones we really got to focus on. This. Okay, so acknowledged SAPs are the ones that can be declassified, public, blah, blah. It's this one. This is the one. This is the one. And I'm going to show you another document associated to this that just was released and done by the DOD a few months ago. So, unacknowledged SAPs or USAPs, the shy sibling of the SAP family. When an SAP is designated as unacknowledged, not only is the program's purpose carefully guarded, as the name implies, USAP's mere existence may be denied to everyone, but a spare few who aren't part of the program. Given their shadowy presence, it should come to no surprise the funding for unacknowledged SAPs is either classified or is intentionally hidden within the federal government. That's big. So it's intentionally hidden within the federal budget, or it's classified that nobody knows what the heck is going on. So there's no oversight. And the DOD took charge of this. And then this is the one, the waived. This is the other one. In rare instances when information is considered to be the most extremely sensitive in nature, the Secretary of Defense can formally exempt a program from federal reporting requirements and establish the pinnacle of the secrecy, which is like the top, waived, unacknowledged SAP. So this doesn't have to be seen by anyone. No one. And this is when you hear them at hearings say overclassification, 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 because they can't get access. They're denied. They're denied access because they don't need to know, because that's part of another thing that came out. And yeah, they say a lot of people connect this to UFOs, crash technology, mythology. It lacks accessibility. But like any good myth, there's some truth and historical precedent that give legitimate reasons to be concerned with these deeply hidden programs. Okay? But now, that's just an article. So that's opinionated. That's an opinionated article. But now let's look. Look what they did. Oh, please tell me I have that doc. I know I saved it last night. Last night I was going crazy. Researching this. This could be the PDF. I don't know. Yes, this is it. Right here. This is new. And this was made public. Special Access Program Policy, SAPs. Look at the date. Effective September 12th, 2024. They revised it. The DOD revised it. Now this is there's a lot of language in here, who has what role, blah 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 blah. There's a lot of stuff in here, but when you get to the bottom, it's responsibilities of each individual and their roles in government, what they're responsible for. But down here, this is actually publicly released. Okay, where is it? It's toward the bottom. I know it's toward the bottom. Okay, here it is. Initial access to DoD SAPs will be strictly controlled based on broad collaborations and shared risk with the SAP enterprise. Access to a SAP will be strictly limited to the minimum number of personnel necessary. Granting initial access to a SAP will be based solely upon a determination that the individual meets these criteria, has a valid need to know, NTK, has the necessary security clearance. They have to have that high clearance to even get to it in a SCIF. Meets approved personnel security prerequisites. Will contribute to program execution oversight. So if they have nothing to do with it and they have nothing to contribute, they're done. Determination of a need to know will consider an individual's role and potential participation in separate but related SAPs. To enable collaboration and facilitate greater innovation, personnel with need to know may be accessed to similar information throughout the SAP architecture. All personnel access to DoD SAPs will notify the director. So they got to go and then here. In a timely fashion when briefing or providing DoD SAP material to any member of Congress or their staff. No DoD contractor entity, contractor employee, contractor representative, or consultant will provide SAP material to any members of Congress or their staff without director of DoD approval. Huh, so good luck. Good luck. If they say you're not seeing it, no member of Congress, if that director says, I don't want nobody to see it, it ain't going to be seen by any member of Congress. That's the language. Right here. No DoD, and it says it right here. It's clear as day. Right here. It's as clear, it can't be any clearer. And people need to realize this. Right there. No DoD contractor, entity, contractor employee, contractor representative, or consultant will provide SAP material to any members of Congress or their staff without director approval. So, any members of Congress, so they can't release any material. They got to go through the director of the DoD. So when they're doing hearings and all this stuff, they got to be very, very careful. And this is as of September 21st. And I bet you a lot of people don't even know about this. Okay, Daryl, I seen that. Blue Origin might try again tonight at 1 a.m. Eastern. Thank you, Daryl. I don't know if you... All right, let's go down. Director. This is the one. Under the authority, direction, and control of the Deputy Secretary of Defense, the director, right here. This is what his role is, or her role. All this. So it has to go through them. Otherwise, you're not getting anything. Nothing. I don't care who you are. Any member of Congress can be denied by the director. Under the authority, direction, and control of the Deputy Secretary of Defense, the director, DoD, SAPCO. SAPs are designated by the Deputy Secretary of Defense. Now, I wonder who's going to be nominated under the Trump administration as Deputy Secretary of Defense. DOD primary point of contact for SAP matters with agencies of the executive branch, the president, the judicial branch, Supreme Court, the court system, and the legislative branch, Congress, including support to SAP congressional meetings, hearings, and responses to congressional inquiries, unless otherwise specified by statute or regulations. So they have to go, everyone has to go through them. This is new, well, months old. They redid it. They redid the language. They're slick. And this is part of the frustration that Congress has, trying to attain any information. It's right here. It's right there, under these new guidelines. So when people want to see hearings and people say stuff and who's willing to come forward with high clearances, well, they got high clearances. They're jeopardizing their personal careers, obviously, their livelihoods. Because they're not supposed to, without permission from the director, they're not to say a word. Nothing. Zero. Or they're going to be held criminally. It's that simple. People could want them to say all these things. They face criminal charges. These are very strict guidelines. They got to get, even Congress, it says every branch, they named everyone, even the president, has to go through them. Really? The president too? It says executive branch. And you can, it's right there in the language. This was released September, 12th of 2024? This is just a few months ago. And I stumbled upon this because I was searching for other language in the Atomic Energy Act of 1951, and I saw this. I was like, oh my God, they revised it. Slick. And it's as clear as day. DOD, primary point of contact for SAP matters with agencies of the executive branch, the judicial branch, and the legislative branch, including support to SAP congressional meetings, hearings, and responses to congressional inquiries, because they're trying to get information, Congress, unless otherwise specified by statute and regulation. And that's all under the control of this, under the authority, direction, and control of the Deputy Secretary of Defense, the director. And this is what he serves as. All that. All this. So they have to go through them. Everyone has to go through the DOD, Department of Defense, because it's so classified. These programs need to know, and you have to have a legitimate reason, a need to know. Is it a threat? In other words, let's say the president is facing a threat of a swarm drone attack. He needs to know. He needs access. He needs to know the threat. This is, it doesn't matter what the classifications of these SAP programs, the president needs to know. It's a national security crisis threat. So, but it's on a need to know. If he does not need to know, if he just asks, well, a general inquiry, you got to be specific. it says it in here. It's need to know on each individual SAP under the Department of Defense. And they got to meet these criteria in order to get access to it. And that's why Congress is so frustrated. Because a lot of their members, I mean, there are high-ranking officials in Congress that have classification, but a lot of them don't have that's such a high classification. Like, that would be a good thing to look up. I don't know if it's going to come over to generate a list. Man, this is very vague. The topic of security clearance for elected officials has been a complex one. Members of Congress, even those in sensitive committee positions, do not receive or obtain security clearances in the same way that a member of the public, we know that, would go to obtain one. But this is very vague on the explanation. And some of these articles are extremely old. Really old. They're saying the same thing. Okay, so this one is just as vague as the other article. Wow. Okay, here's a good one. There's a lot of misconceptions when it comes to security clearances. But this is what somebody's writing. This is about a year ago. What I've been hearing a lot lately is that members of Congress require them. In fact, members of Congress do not require a security clearance either to hold their office or to access classified information in the course of their duties. Their security clearance is automatic by virtue of their election to a constitutional office. However, their access to classified information is largely a product of their committee assignments and thus controlled by their respective party leadership. And that's what Burchett ran into. He got pushback from the leadership in the House, Republican. A Republican asking, and a Republican in the leadership said, I think it was Johnson. The same no security clearance required rule goes for the president, the vice president, the federal judges. This is what we were just reading in that document, all of whom are constitutional officials, but other senior federal officials whose offices are not explicitly identified in the Constitution, including cabinet secretaries, the CIA director, and the National Security Advisor, do require a clearance. I'm just skimming. See, it's very vague. It won't break down, of course. They're not going to reveal who has what type of clearance. And they all say the same thing. Oh my gosh. It's very vague. All right, let's see. All right, this gets more into detail. What are the level of clearances? What levels of clearance are there? There are three in increasing order of their importance: confidential, secret, and top secret. There is also a separate category: sensitive compartmented information, or SCI. The difference between secret and top secret is the sensitivity of the information that you'll have access to. Disclosure of secret information can cause serious damage to national security. Disclosure of top secret information can cause grave damage. That's why we're not seeing stuff. They consider this a threat to national security, whether it's secret or top secret. That's why we're not going to see none. That's why they're going to fight tooth and nail. The public will not get access to this. And people are like, oh, why can't they declassify? Because this is how they do it. People with TS level clearance can get specific SCI certificates about areas on which they need to work. That means that someone working on the CIA's Asia desk might know a lot about North Korea, for example, but may not necessarily have the same level of access to material about Syria. The hope behind the system is that no one person could come to know so much that he or she alone cannot cause major damage by leaking to a reporter or spying for a federal government. And that's why in these hearings, like what Grush was saying, and he was right, certain people in different departments know only certain amount of things because that's all they have access and that's all they're given permission to do. He was right about that. So they don't know what's going on in the other department of what they're doing. Their role is specific in what they're doing. That's it. With that, whatever, how many group of people are involved in that specific area. So outside of that, they don't know what's going on. But Grush allegedly was told by numerous people in different areas of stuff going on. So that is true, what it's saying in this article. I'm just saying who investigates. Does Trump have the power to overrule them? Yes. It is an executive branch function. As the chief executive, the president has the ultimate authority. And this was an example to deal with his son-in-law, Kushner, at the time, to get his clearance for him. Because there was Trump's former chief of staff and former White House counsel wrote memos describing why they didn't think Kushner should have clearance. But Trump can overrule that. As far as someone getting clearance, the president can make sure that they do. So let's just say Lou Elizondo, but he's got. Trump could say, okay, you got clearance. Elon, here, clearance for you. Trump can do that. Executive order, boom, done. He can give whoever clearance. He gave it to his son-in-law, probably his daughter. I would have to look that up. He can do that. As it even says here as an example, not only did President Trump have the authority to give his son-in-law and an advisor Kushner clearance, the president could conceivably give Vladimir Putin a security clearance. He said that the president can furthermore, this is an attorney from Washington. He said that the president can furthermore declassify the family jewels, meaning secret documents, and give them to Putin if he wanted to. He could declassify. He could do whatever. Matter of fact, do you remember when the Russian prime minister or whatever he was in the White House with Trump, he had given classified information that came from Israel. And the Israelis were tight. So he can do that. And he shared it with the Russians. Remember that? When they took the photos didn't come from our press. They came from the Russian press. Wait, I can't remember his name. They're all smiling. But he can do that. Let's see. I can't remember his name. So, here it is. People may not have memories, they have short term. Reports Trump gave classified info to Russians during White House visit. And who took these photos? It was the Russian press. It wasn't our press. Oh, I hear somebody at the door. Highly classified information to 2 top Russian officials. And this was confirmed. And I believe it was Israeli intelligence. And they were not happy. It was about, from an ally, look, the partner, the ally that gave us the information, had not given the United States permission to share material with Russia. An official said Trump's decision to do so endangers cooperation from an ally that has access to inner workings of the Islamic State. So it's probably referring to Iran. And this definitely, I believe when it came out, eventually it had to do with Israeli intelligence. That was the ally. This is when it first came out. But the point of this is, he can do whatever he wants. He could declassify, he could share with whomever. He has that power. And when that happened, other allies were like, do we really want to share information with this administration? Look what they did. They gave it to Russia. He gave it to Russia. What if we give him something? Is he going to give it to somebody else too? So they were like, whoa. It did create a major stir in the intelligence community when he did that. So, and to appease Putin, people have short-term memories. They don't remember this, I guess. But that was... We're talking about the classifications and the security requirements. So Reuters had the article when this was all coming out and they downplayed it. Israel downplayed it. This is from Reuters. That article I just showed was when it was initially being reported. But then, boom, because he met with, what was his name? Lavrov. That's it. When he met with Lavrov in the White House and he shared Israeli intelligence with Russia, Israel was tight. They were like, oh my gosh, he shared our intelligence with Russia. And they downplayed it. They downplay any damage. But they were upset. And that set alarm bells throughout all our allies. Like, oh boy. Oh boy. What do we do now? The point of this whole conversation is the president, any president, has the authority to declassify and share whatever with whomever he wants to. As an executive branch, that's what he can do. So when you talk about classifications, and assigning classifications. Like I said, who's to say he won't give Elon top clearance? He can do that. It doesn't matter what you think about Reuters, Red Star. That is widely spread. That is a confirmed thing. I just used Reuters as an example. That is confirmed what Trump did. That's been confirmed. You could look at any media outlet, and that's been confirmed. What happened in the White House that day when Lavrov was there, and he shared information that came from Israel with Russia. That is confirmed. That is not coming just from Reuters. It comes from everywhere you look. That's been confirmed. But this is not about attacking news agencies for a right-wing agenda or a left-wing agenda. It's just putting out the information that is factual, despite what you might think about certain agencies because it doesn't fit the narrative. I'm not about that. I'm not about being a person from the left and attacking the right, or the right attacking the left and using it for some kind of political propaganda and targeting it as misinformation, deep state, conspiratorial. I don't do that. That's not what I do. I just put it out there. If people want to judge it for being a psyop or a shill or whatever, that's up to people to reach their conclusions. That's up to each individual. But that has been confirmed even by the Israelis. And that set a whole firestorm with our other allies about sharing intel with the United States at that time. But that's not the point of this conversation. The point is about clearance. Who has it? What levels of clearance? How do they obtain it? I just use that as an example because the president has the ultimate authority to, if somebody in the cabinet says, I don't think you should give him a clearance or her a clearance, security clearance. The president can say, okay, I'll consider that, and automatically give them the clearance. He did it with his son-in-law, with Kushner. He can do that. He can declassify classified material publicly if he wants to. That's his power. So the whole point of this is going back to what the UAP thing is. And I honestly, there's a lot of people that think that he's going to be transparent and he's going to get on this, because there's a lot of Republicans in the House, especially, that are in his ear talking about we need more transparency, oversight, and the bureaucracy in government and the funding, the money. Where's this money going to? That's what this is about. And I think Trump is going to address it. Now, we could talk conspiracies about, is he going to release JFK, or things about Hunter Biden. I mean, people could speculate on that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking more about specifics to deal with UAP. If people want to watch that, they can watch Fox News, Newsmax, OAN, MSNBC, CNN, all that. I don't get involved with all that. Whatever turns them on. Whatever floats his or her boat. That's not what I'm trying to do right now. There's plenty of podcasts that do that, and people that talk stuff all day long, conservative or liberal. There's plenty of places to tune in where you can hear everything you want to hear and rah, rah, rah with it. Plenty of places. I know people that sit and watch Fox News 24/7. That's all that. Every time I walk into the house, Fox News is on. Same point. I know somebody in the city that has CNN on all the time, and I'm like, what the heck is going on? That's all they watch? It's like you want to talk about manipulation and control, and people talk about that stuff broadly about everything else. Well, you're part of it if you're just glued to watching one thing all day long. I mean, really? That's so hypocritical. I'm going to talk about this, that, or this, or this, or this. But meanwhile, you're watching one narrow-driven, agenda-driven narrative all day long. It's like you want to talk about some kind of a PSYOP control manipulation tool. Well, there's one right there. It's a single, not a single, but a direct message that they're targeting people with over and over and over again. Whether it's a liberal media or conservative media, because it's hard to find the in-between, the moderate one. Those are the hard ones to find, where both sides are given, I won't say equal, but a fair balance of opinion that come in, and then people can reach their own conclusions. But no, what people do is they watch this one all day long, and they hear that stuff they throw out all day long for weeks, months, years. Or the other one, same thing. What do you think these people are going to do? You think they have an opinion and respect the other side? Of course not. Because they've been demonized so much by watching what they've been watching for years. So the Democrats demonizing Trump for years. The same thing starting with Obama that the right has been doing on their media. It goes even further back. So it's on both sides. Both sides do it. They attack each other and they put on all this narrative focused to their base. Because it brings ratings, it brings ad revenue, it's about the money. So hopefully oversight will occur for money, because this money is out of control. The bureaucracy of money, no audit, no oversight, especially when we're dealing with these SAP programs. We don't even know what's going on. There is so much money going somewhere from taxpayers that we don't even know what the hell is going on. And there are people within Congress that are trying, like Tim Burchett, Republican Tim Burchett from Tennessee. He's trying, but he's getting a lot of pushback by who? High-ranking Republicans, his own party. Major pushback by the higher-ranking Republicans, including Mike Johnson. Look it up. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. Why? What are they so worried about? What are they so worried about looking into these? Because he's part of the oversight committee, Tim Burchett. And he's gotten some serious pushback. He's even said it. He went on the record and said something like, I was like, whoa. By higher ranking Republicans within his party. And it's about the UAP thing, the money. And I just showed the letter he wrote to President Trump, which I have it. And I think it was mid-November, after the hearings happened. Let me see if I could find the exact quote, because I don't like to misquote people. Here we go. Just listen to what he says, Representative from the House, Tim Burchett. Let me make sure I get the right.
Stuff that depend. So far,
These guys are just talking. I want to get Tim Burchett in his words. They took it out of a podcast. A podcast put it as a snippet. So I'm trying to avoid putting any of what these guys are saying.
as well as I do. It sucks. Right. And
Here we go.
Covering up the truth about.
Here's Tim Burchett on Fox.
Talk to fighter pilots, some of the best in the world, and they tell
Let me go back a little.
if you want,
This
we
is
should cover
Tim
this, and that's
Burchett,
the stuff that's
his
going
own
on with
words.
Burchett, and there's two things with Burchett. And here is the first one. All right, the first one is that former Trump administration official previously told Tim Burchett to protect himself following his attempts to expose the government's UFO cover-up. So here's that video. I'm going to play this, and then we'll talk about. Oh, I'll show the other clip, and then we'll talk
I
about.
don't trust the U.S. government, and I'm a United States congressman. I've talked to experts. I've seen testimony from astronauts. I've talked to fighter pilots, some of the best in the world, and they tell me that they've chased these craft, and yet the Pentagon says they don't exist, and now we're talking about throwing money at it, and all of a sudden they say they want to study it. You know, they lose billions of dollars every year. They've never passed an audit. And, you know, as I like to say, the Pentagon is a bunch of war pimps anyway. The American public deserves transparency. We deserve to know what's going on. I had a conversation with somebody that called me over the weekend that was very high up in the Trump administration. They told me that I'd kicked a hornet's nest and that their words were I needed to get some bodies around me. I take that very serious.
I kicked the hornet's nest and I have to get some bodies around me. Someone in the Trump administration contacted him. This is a representative congressman from Tennessee, a Republican. Somebody in the Trump administration contacts him and tells him, be careful, get some bodies around you. Get some bodies around you? What? What the heck does that mean? I need protection? I'm touching something I shouldn't be touching. Why? Who's the ones that are saying I'm kicking a hornet's nest? Because he wants to do an oversight and audit to see where the money trail is? That's scary. And then he continues on another snippet.
Covering up the truth about aliens, you know, and I wanted your perspective on this. What does the public need to know?
They need to know everything, and they should fear a government that doesn't think they're capable of handling what is the truth. We've been turned away as congressmen for stuff that we shouldn't have been. I've seen things that I think would make the average American question their government about what they're holding back from them. You know, I've said all along, it's really not about little green men or flying saucers, ma'am. It's about what are they spending tens of millions of your hard-earned dollars on. They told us these departments did not exist, and yet Lou Elizondo ran a department that did that for over $10 million.
And that was money that was allocated by the late Democrat, I can't remember his name. He was the one that put the funding, and I think Bigelow was involved too. Oh my God, what was his name? I think it had to do with ATIP. I can't remember that congressman's name. He passed away a few years ago. Oh my God, I should remember this. Oh, who was the congressman? It doesn't matter. I can't remember his name. But he was the one that put this funding together. This is where it all started with Lou Elizondo and ATIP. But I don't remember his name. Let me see if I put 10 million. I can't remember his name. It doesn't matter. But he was the one that started this whole thing. But getting back to what Burchett is saying.
Of the federal monies and government's investment. You have a Pentagon that's bloated. It's full of war pimps. They've just failed their seventh audit. And yet, how will we punish them? How have we punished them in the past? We've given them more billions actually, of more dollars than they've asked for. And they cannot account for over $1 trillion in assets, ma'am. I mean, that's like they can't account for a battleship, and no one's holding them accountable. They're spending that money on something. They won't issue. They have reports. They give them to us, and they're heavily redacted. They have photographs. They have film. They have footage. We've had sworn testimony to tell us that. And they've also told us this is not any of our enemies or our allies or we don't have the capability. Humans don't even have the capability to survive in the movements. The Tic Tac videos are very evident. They said those videos first didn't exist. Then the pilots came out and said, wait a minute, that's us on there. That's, the guys who are talking. You can hear them talking, the pilots, and I've talked to them. And then they come back and say, well, we don't know what they are. So let's get to the bottom of it. Donald Trump will, in my opinion, with my conversations with him and his people, he will release these files. Let's have transparency.
That's big. That's big. Rubio's in on it too. Luna. There's a few that have Trump's ear on this. So I'm telling you, it's gonna be really interesting. Yeah, people talk about JFK files because they focus on that. My focus is the UFO stuff, the UAP stuff, specifically. And like I said, Burchett wrote a letter in November after the election congratulating President Trump. And here is that letter. It's in the language, and he states it. Tim Burchett. Dear President Trump, congratulations on your historic re-election and thank you for your continued friendship. As you work to dismantle bureaucracy, cut unnecessary spending, and restructure the federal government, I also encourage you to demand increased transparency from rogue agencies. In Congress, I have repeatedly called for government transparency. Just last week, he's referring to a hearing, the UAP hearing. I led my colleagues on the House Oversight and Accountability Committee in a hearing where witnesses testified to retaliation by government agencies for reporting the misuse of federal funds to fund potentially harmful secretive initiatives, such as programs to investigate unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAP. Our nation is nearly $36 trillion in debt. I am sick of unelected bureaucrats telling me UAPs don't exist while the government has spent millions of taxpayers' money looking into them for decades. This isn't about finding little green men or flying saucers. It's about forcing federal bureaucracies like the Pentagon to be transparent with the American people. Know that I strongly support your commitment to reducing the size and scope of the federal government. I will continue my efforts in Congress to hold government bureaucracy accountable to the American people. Sincerely, Tim Burchett. So this could come to a head. It really could come to a head soon in the Trump administration. We now have to see what Trump is going to do. I'm hearing conflicting things in the background. There's a lot of people that think he's going to be. I'm not saying this lightly either. The disclosure president for UAP. I can't speak on JFK and all the other conspiratorial stuff that's out there. I'm speaking more about the conspiratorial UAP stuff. But that's what I'm specifically targeting myself. Because I have communication with people behind the scenes that are in DC and other areas. And when Tim Burchett, I can't even tell you what I know because I can get in serious trouble. But they know. There are people in Congress that know exactly what's going on, but they can't say nothing because of the classification. They can't. They just can't say it, even though they know information. They just can't say it because they're in trouble. They don't have the power to declassify it. They got to go through a process. The president has the power to do it. That's how this whole conversation started. So if President Trump wants to declassify something, he can. That's why I used the example with the Israeli intel to the Russians. Because he can do that. So this is going to be really interesting to see how this develops. Because like I said, there are a lot of people that believe he is going to be the one to disclose it. And I talked to some people and they say, no, he's not. Because they're not going to allow him to. Who's they? Well, DOD, Pentagon, the agencies. This is going to be very, very interesting. I can't tell you because I would jeopardize people's lives. Seriously. There are other people that might want to talk about it. I'm not. No way. Okay, I'll throw something out there. No, better not. Okay, wait a minute. Let me think about this. Let me see if it's even public. If it's something that's out there, because that's not the official report. It is not. It is not. There's new information out there. Oh shit. It is public. Because he tweeted about it, and I know about this. Oh shit, it's public. Okay. Oh, I don't even know if I want to put this on the screen, but it was public, but he took it down. It was on Reddit. But it doesn't say the details of what was in that video, which I was told what it is. It's right here. A Mexican official whose main role is UFO disclosure, Jesus Alberto, claims they are in possession of a video regarding U.S. retrieval program of Koyame UFO crash. He later removes the post from public view. That is a hint. That's the only thing I could talk about regarding that. That is a definitely TBD, to be continued. Because he later tweeted Koyame 2025. After he deleted a couple of posts, he then puts Koyame 2025. Are we going to see that video? Is that video valid? Is it true? Is it real? I don't know. But that's out there. It's alleging that it shows special ops via helicopter go into Mexico and take this craft, retrieve it, a crashed UFO, and bring it back to the United States. Now, the word is, from that case, they brought it to Atlanta, either to a base or to the CDC.
Bill,
Yes.
have you seen my boots with the butterfly?
No.
Jesus, what, they disappear?
I don't know, Mom. We got to leave in 2 hours.
I don't, look, let me tell you.
Oh, no. I'm live. Don't start with me
Okay,
right now.
don't
I'm
touch me
live.
here.
I know.
I'm getting
I know.
dressed.
I
Leave
understand.
me alone,
I understand.
'cause I'm not running.
I understand.
No, you don't understand at all.
So, this was in 1974. Look it up. Look up the Koyame incident. Because I'm not going to sit here and read all about it. But just look it up. Koyame. Coyame. You could put Koyame UFO. It was in 74. You might want to check that out. Because there could be some news regarding that incident this year. I don't know what the timeline is. I don't know. But that's the word. And I found the Reddit post, but he took it down. I wonder why. You have to realize, if this does exist and he's in possession of this video, a lot of people want that video. They don't want that video, if it's real, they don't want that video released to the public. Who knows what's on that video? If it exists, if it's real. Who knows? Can you imagine? And again, this is all hypothesizing, alleging. There's just no evidence. But if that comes out and it's proven to be a valid video, wow. Can you imagine a video showing, and it must have been filmed by someone in Mexico who observed this happening. U.S. Special Op helicopters coming in, landing. Supposedly, in this case, there were Mexican soldiers lying on the ground. And the body of a smaller being near a crashed UFO. And the United States went in, swooped it up, and took it back here. That's a very general description of what happened. But there's a lot more details. Radar. It supposedly collided with a small plane, a civilian aircraft. The UFO. Like I said, look it up, Koyame. There's plenty of information online. Actually, Ruben Uriarte wrote a great book on that, the Koyame incident. I'm sure that's on Amazon. But you can. I'm gonna see if it's in Amazon. Yeah, the Koyame incident. Him and Noe Torres. It was written 10 years ago. This one right here. The Koyame incident. UFO crash near Presidio, Texas. See? Following the crash, it was a crash in August, a mid-air collision in 74 in August between a small plane and a UFO on the U.S.-Mexico border near the city of Presidio, Texas. Following the crash, the governments of both Mexico and the U.S. sent troops to recover the fallen UFO. Since publication of their first book, blah, 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 they have uncovered several new key witnesses and a number of important new details about the case. This amazing UFO story has been featured on numerous television documentaries, blah, blah, and it brings all the latest information. Did a flying saucer really crash in the desert near Texas-Mexico border? Maybe only the crickets and lizards know for sure, but this little book sure is fun to read and ponder. That was a comment, editorial. So this is the case that I'm referring to. So I'm just saying, the person put a post saying Koyame 2025, and supposedly there's this video out there showing U.S. forces in the helicopters coming in and taking this thing. Could you imagine if that's proven? And first of all, if it exists. Secondly, if it's real. And third, if it's published to the public. Can you imagine? But a lot of people say, oh, it's fake. You know that's going to happen. They're going to say, that's BS. It's part of a PSYOP. It's part of a false flag. It's part of this. You know all that's coming with it. It doesn't matter. I say that all the time. It does not matter what we get put out there, because no one, not I can't say no one, a lot of people aren't going to trust anything that comes out, because they're going to say it's part of a deep state, conspiracy, PSYOP, false flag, etc. So that's why I say it doesn't matter if they release. People say, oh, the government needs to be more transparent and release documents and video and images. If they do, it doesn't matter because nobody's going to believe it anyway. Well, I can't say nobody. I can't use that word. A lot of people are going to not believe anything that they put out there coming from the government. Not in this environment, they're not. All the mistrust of government, they're not going to believe nothing. Unless it's something they want to hear, like JFK files. They found that this group or entity or was responsible, then they're all rah-rah for that because it's exactly what they want to hear. But if it's something that they're not interested in or they just want to create a counter-narrative to go against it, then they're going to say it's deep state. It's a PSYOP. It's a false flag. It's the globalist movement, New World Order, trying to create fear that we have all shared enemy, that we need to group together and fight this common enemy. I don't have to have a crystal ball to predict that. It's so obvious. I mean, it's common sense to even thinking that that's a rational conclusion because it's going to happen if that would happen. I know it. It's the first thing. Anytime anything breaks out there, whether it's the fires or the drones or any story, automatically there's a spin to it, a conspiratorial spin put on it. Immediately. So if it happens with all of that stuff, everything, it's going to happen with this too. It's a no-brainer. Because everything else does. What makes this any different? Nothing. You got to hear some of the stuff that people tell me. About stuff. And I'm like, whoa. But at the same time, I don't discount it. Because what if what they're saying to me is true? You know, there are proven conspiracies that have been proven to be factual. And there's one big one. And it happened in the 60s. And it is freaky when you read it. I'm telling you, this one is like downright scary. I would have to call Chris because I can't remember the name of the declassified. And I got to get off soon because I got to do something. It looks like no UAP show tomorrow. Somebody's in the front of the house. Who is this? Oh, it's Amazon. And that's another thing that makes me laugh when people say, "Oh, you got the Alexa device or you got Ring doorbells. They're so invasive. They know everything you're doing. They watch you." What do you think about your phones? What do you think about the internet? It's such hypocrisy that people say, "Well, I wouldn't get one of those." Then you shouldn't have a laptop. You shouldn't have a desktop. You shouldn't have a tablet or a phone. Because they're just as invasive. Because it tracks everything you do. So I laugh when people say stuff like that. It's like, really? Do you realize? I got to show you this. Because like I said, not to discount the conspiracies because when you read this one, this was declassified. And it is related to JFK and the Cuban Missile Crisis and the Russian presence Come on, Chris, pick up.
You have read.
Oh, man. If I'm lucky, it'll come up. That's not it. He knows it by name because he's the one who showed it to me. And it's an actual document, declassified. There it is. I found it. I did. Now, when you see this, then you say, oh, people talk about conspiracies, that they're crazy and BS. Well, when you read this, I need to find the document, though. The actual declassified.
I don't know how you could stay in this room.
It's cold, right?
Oh my God.
I'm freezing.
I don't know, Billy. When you get pneumonia, let me know. Okay, and when you go,
And I
oh,
got the
blah,
fire on.
oh, blah, 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 blah. Okay? Let me see what you got on.
I need to get the document.
Let me see.
What is
You
it?
got
I got sweatpants and a shirt on.
A short sleeve.
Yeah.
When is the appointment for my doctor?
Mom, less than 2 hours.
Oh, shut. And you rushing me like this?
Yes, because it takes you time to get ready.
My God.
You know that.
Oh, Jesus.
Please let this be the document. It's only one page. No, I found it. It was the... I'm trying to find the actual document from 62. I just got it. I found it. The Northwoods. I got it. I'm downloading the PDF now. Remember that you showed me?
Yeah, the Operation Northwood.
Yeah, I'm showing it on the screen now because I was talking about conspiracies and all that, and how some people make a big thing about conspiracies being like nutty and crazy. Well, this one was true. It's just like,
You know, there's a news article from years ago, back in I think it was the 50s, where the scientists had actually defeated gravity. They were able to find out how gravity worked and stuff. And these people were mysteriously killed.
well, you know how that goes. We hear about that all the time. Even
Right.
I think Elizondo or someone, I forget who was that mentioned that.
David Grush.
It was Grush. It was Grush. It was Grush.
Right.
Yes.
But,
It was Grush.
I mean, I was watching this video. They were talking about these certain scientists that were working on anti-gravity devices, and they were successful in some stuff. And then they disappeared.
Yeah. All right, let me, because I got to get off to go to a meeting. But I was calling you to remember the name, but I found it. I'm gonna show it on the screen now and go over it on my stream.
Yeah, Operation Northwood is one of the biggest ones where
Yes.
they get drones.
Yes, this is why this is important. And I don't want go down too much of a rabbit hole when you think of 9/11.
Well, the thing was that if they had the capabilities
In the
years ago-
60s.
right, and stuff. So if you had the capabilities then, think of the capabilities they had
50
now.
years later. Yep. Well, that for 9/11, 50 years later, but now forget it.
Yeah, they were going to blow up a plane with nobody in it, but you
Yep.
would hear screaming and stuff inside the plane.
Yep. All right, call me
All right, man. Take
later. Bye. Look at this. Check this out. What, Ma? This is unclassified. Justification for U.S. military intervention in Cuba. memorandum for the Secretary of Defense, and then it outlines to create a false flag to provoke a confrontation with Cuba. And in here, this is an actual declassified document. But wait till you see. They wanted to create a scenario that gave them reason to start a conflict with Cuba. But Kennedy said no. I'm trying to find. These are different scenarios like they came up with to try to do it. It's coming up. These are different scenarios. Here it is. That's the Air Force craft. No, not that one. Here, the drone aircraft. Here it is. Here it is. This is number 8. It is possible to create an incident which will demonstrate convincingly that a Cuban aircraft has attacked and shot down a chartered civilian airliner en route from the United States to Jamaica, Guatemala, Panama, or Venezuela. The destination would be chosen only to cause the flight plan route to cross Cuba. The passengers could be a group of college students off on a holiday or any grouping of persons with a common interest to support chartering a non-scheduled flight. An aircraft at Eglin would be painted and numbered as the exact duplicate for a civil registered aircraft belonging to the CIA proprietary organization in the Miami area. At a designated time, the duplicate would be substituted for the actual civilian aircraft and would be loaded with selected passengers, all boarded under carefully prepared aliases. The actual registered aircraft would be converted to a drone. This is 62. Takeoff times of the drone aircraft and the actual aircraft would be scheduled to allow a rendezvous south of Florida. From the rendezvous point, the passenger-carrying aircraft will descend to minimum altitude and go directly into an auxiliary field where it can't be detected on radar, where the swap would happen. At Eglin, where arrangements have been made to evacuate the passengers and return the aircraft to its original status. The drone aircraft, meanwhile, will continue to fly the flight plan. When over Cuba, the drone will be transmitting on the international distress frequency a Mayday message stating that it is under attack by a Cuban MiG aircraft. The transmission will be interrupted by destruction of the aircraft will be triggered by radio signal. This will allow the ICA, I can't see that, Q radio stations in the Western Hemisphere to tell the U.S. what has happened to the aircraft instead of the U.S. trying to sell the incident. It is possible, and that's one scenario. So that is crazy. This is a declassified document. Operation Northwood. This is an actual declassified. Look at the date. And who makes the final call if this is carried through or not? The president. Who's the president at the time? JFK. They wanted war with Cuba. He said no. To me, that's pretty significant. Drones in 62? A drone aircraft? That is a declassified document. To me, that's pretty serious. So, you never know. That's why I say, I always, even though I'm not down that crazy rabbit hole that a lot of people do with everything's a conspiracy, but at the same time, I'm still open-minded after knowing stuff like this existed and happened and was designed, that anything is possible. So do you know there's that, don't you say it's Thursday. So at the same time I say what I say, there's incidents like this that occurred that the public most of the public isn't even aware of this. At all. They never heard of Operation Northwood. And the plan that they devised, different scenarios to create a false flag to start a war with Cuba. This is an actual document that was declassified. Right there. Top secret, special handling. And it comes with all the scenarios to create some type of a false flag to start a conflict with Cuba. And this was March 13th, I think, of 62. Yeah. And using a drone. A drone, it says. It's in the language. A drone aircraft. Set it off over Cuba and make it look like a MiG shot it down. There was a distress signal. That's just one of the scenarios. There's many. They're numbered. That was number 8. But there's quite a bit of different scenarios right here. The different types of things that they can do to create some kind of an incident. All different types of scenarios. But this is the one, number 8. It is possible to create an incident which would demonstrate convincingly that a Cuban aircraft has attacked and shot down a chartered civilian airliner en route from the United States to Jamaica, Guatemala, Panama, or Venezuela. And they come up with the whole scenario how they could pull it off. That's incredible. And that's real. That's not fake. That's not conspiratorial. That's real. It makes you wonder. How can it not? So those are like examples of things. So, could you imagine? We could have went to war on a false pretense with Cuba if President John F. Kennedy would have said, go for it. That's wild. My fire is so weak. But this all goes back to the UAP thing and the classification levels and how to get information out to the public and all that stuff. So I'm just trying to give a fair, balanced approach on looking at these things from different perspectives, different angles, because it's complex. Exactly, Pig Pug. Exactly. This, among a lot of other things that could be possibly connected to that. Yes, for possibly saying no, because they wanted war. They wanted war, and he said no. Could that have played a role? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll find out exactly what was the cause, or who was behind it, or what country was behind it, or whatever. Who knows? But that's super interesting. And when you put it all in perspective. And a lot of people don't even know about this, which is alarming in itself. Because if I wasn't told by Chris DiPerno, I would have never known about this. He said, Pill, you got to look at this. And I was like, when I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is intense. And it's the entire unclassified document. And when you read it, it's like, oh, I can't, is this real? Yeah, it's real. It's a PDF. I'm gonna see if this works. PigPug, see if this link works. See if you're able to download this PDF in Rumble. See if that's something you can get access to, and you can see the document, because I downloaded it. It's public domain. It's not like I'm revealing top secret information. Let me know if that opens up into the PDF for this document. And I got to get off because I have a meeting and I have to take Mom to the doctor. But I will have retired U.S. Air Force Captain Robert Salas tonight at 9 Eastern to talk about the incident that happened at the Maelstrom Air Force Base in 67, where he was... You can? Good. Where he was pretty much in the bunker underground in control of the Minutemen missiles when they ran into electronic failure, 10 of them, and there supposedly was a UFO hovering or in the vicinity above. And he's going to tell us. I'm not going to keep him on long. I promised him that. I just want him to get cut right to the chase, talk about the incident, talk about a bunch of stuff. So this is a direct, retired military U.S. Air Force captain who is in the command module underground, many feet underground, in layers of concrete. They're locked in there. They're locked in. He's at the control center of these missiles, which are not located there. They're off-site a little bit. And they get shut down. 10 of them. Remember, height, Cold War, Russia, Cuba, all that tension. Could you imagine? Not like if something they can't launch. That's a serious national security risk. So he'll be on tonight at 9 Eastern. Also, SpaceX, 5 p.m. today. If I get back in time from taking Mom to the doctor, I believe SpaceX is starting the coverage at 4:15 or 4:30. I think. So hopefully we'll get to see that today. And my friend Daryl says that Blue Origin is going to maybe attempt to launch the New Glenn at 1 a.m. Eastern. Good luck with that. Because the last one, I tried to stay awake and I fell asleep and fail. I think they're making an attempt again today. Oh my God. I don't know if I can handle that. But SpaceX, this is a big one. This is an updated version of the Starship. And they're actually going to release a payload I think it's mock Starlinks. I don't know if it's real Starlinks, but they're going to release a payload tonight. You can go to SpaceX.com and find out more information about that. But it should be cool. It's always cool to see that. The Starship is so important to the future of space exploration, colonization, transporting goods, and yes, astronauts. So this is a very integral part of the space program, this Starship. This is very important. And they are making grounds. They're doing, every time they're achieving steps to make it so. Through failure, there's success, because you learn from those failures and you fix whatever the issue was, you improve on them, you learn from them, and you make it better. So when people see things like happen, oh, it's a failure. No, it's not. It is, but it's not, because they learned from it. That's what testing is for. So they get to, analyze what went wrong, what do we need to improve, fix, to make this work. So it's actually important. Failure is important in a way to create true success, if that makes any sense. Anyway, Pig Pug, anybody else who may be watching, have a great night. Great night. I'm so used to doing it at night. Have a great day. See everybody later for SpaceX, hopefully. Be well, be blessed, be safe. And God bless America. And all of us. And the future administration that's coming in too. As this one leaves, which I always pray for all of them. It's only a few days away now, the inauguration. So, I agree with you. Competition is healthy, because look at, I'm going to get off because I have to, but look at how these big corporations swallow up the smaller businesses, or the merger of big corporations, that it doesn't give the consumer much to choose from, because it's controlled by one or two. That doesn't allow for competition, of pricing for the consumer to choose from. You want to be able to have multiple choices as a consumer. Just like that. For the space programs, it's good to have competitiveness and competition. It's healthy. It is healthy. I agree with you. But it's about cost. And right now, SpaceX is it. Blue Origin is way behind, and they're not cost effective. Bezos has a long way to go to catch up to SpaceX with Elon. That's just reality. So, but like you said, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Anyway, PayPal, have a great one.